wanna know? What you wanna know now? What you wanna know now? What you wanna know? Why?
Assalamu alaikum.
Awesome, Mr. Bright, Mr. Wiser.
Really good to see you. Really good to see you. Thank you very much for coming.
It's
I
absolute.
believe that Al-Majlis is all about bringing people.
Absolutely.
Knowing, learning, achieving, evolving together.
Absolutely.
For a brighter future.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. First things.
Yes.
Offerings.
Offerings, okay.
And now this.
No sharbat.
No sharbat. This is Bright's favorite.
Bright's favorite.
Every sip reminds me of my childhood. I hope it reminds you about the golden days as well. Okay. Please.
So we're going back to our childhood.
Yep.
And very Bahraini. And for those who are watching who don't know, it's karak tea.
It is.
So karak tea, I have a thing about karak tea. Because a lot of people who I'm friends with, I'm connected with, are from England, other places.
Right.
In England, they believe in, let's have some tea. And they just put carnation milk, I guess, in their tea, or just fresh milk.
Right.
It's not karak.
It's completely different.
This is what the English are missing out on.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Delicious.
Yeah.
It does remind me of my childhood.
Warming, right?
It reminds me of my childhood. I did spend my childhood days in Bahrain.
Yeah. Enjoy, man.
So, Jassim, I was a bit nervous about coming on this podcast.
Oh, why so?
I mean, the last time we had a podcast, things happened.
Indeed.
Yes.
Unfortunately, things happen.
So hopefully things don't happen this time, you know?
Well, everything is under control.
Yeah.
Every day we learn.
Of course.
And every day we evolve as we speak recently. And knowing what is real and unreal is very important.
Of course.
Understanding that what's said, it's never what's real.
Sure. I mean, these things we can talk about or we can't talk about?
You can't.
We can't.
You're not allowed.
We just stick to
you have to be
the podcast, the Majlis.
You have to be a gentleman.
Oh no, of course. I'm always a gentleman.
Right? You have to be a gentleman.
Yeah.
For everyone. Because, any decision that you take, here's the fun fact. Most of people make decisions based off what they want.
Okay.
Not what they need.
Okay.
You get me? I want the best car. I want the best job. I want the best life. I want the best vacation. I want the best of everything.
Yeah.
But now think of it. Do you really need the best of everything?
You don't need anything, by the way.
You don't need anything.
You only need the basic principles of life, which is food, shelter, water, oxygen. You're good. Before
all of that, you need to remember what is the purpose of existence. As a man, we have a mission. The mission is to guide and guard each other, not to fight and insult each other.
Of course.
Not to do anything around. We as men supposed to protect and to provide, to guide and guard. Not to point finger, but to extend a hand.
Of course.
Correct. The other way around for women, because I believe that there's two genders and only two genders. Right?
Are you sure? I heard there was 101 recently.
Well, see, I'm a realist.
I can't be a cat? Is that what you're saying?
You can't be a cat. A cat is a cat.
Meow.
A human is a human. So you identify as a cat.
No. I always identify as a don, but or a lord, but they don't let me. That option isn't there in Meta to identify as a lord.
Really?
Yeah, I tried. I couldn't put lord.
You can't.
Can't use that as a pronoun.
Not yet. Maybe if you insist a little bit, you can involve a new color.
I mean, I don't know. Do I go to Scotland and get the certificate? I'm not sure, but you can't put that as a pronoun.
Well, we say.
I mean, you're coming strong in the beginning with this multi-gender issue. I mean, just to be very clear, right. I do believe there are only two genders.
Oh, yeah? What are they?
A man and a woman.
I disagree with you.
Oh, what are they?
There are 2.5.
2.5.
Correct.
Is the half the ones who are biologically like born with things missing or whatever? Like biologically,
No.
I think that exists, right?
No. They do exist, yes, but 2.5. First point goes to men.
Yeah.
Second point goes to women, male and female.
Sure.
And the other 0.5 goes to mentally ill.
But that's not a gender.
But that's what's happening.
Mentally ill in what sense?
Mentally ill of having this confusion between what am I 1 or 2?
Yeah, well, I was saying biologically.
Or denying
biologically,
1 or 2.
Okay, that half is actually a quarter because.
Okay.
What I was saying.
That makes sense.
The half is
I would agree
actually,
with that. Yes.
there are people biologically born with different genitals for different things. Like, is a man but without his genital, if that makes sense.
Right.
Very rare.
Correct.
But it does exist.
It does.
Right? So that's the half.
So actually what we're talking about...
The quarter you're talking about is just a mental state of mind.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
So since we are here, we have a lot of interesting topics we would like to talk about.
Absolutely.
Talking about knowing what's right and wrong. Is there something in between?
You know, that's an interesting question. And I'll tell you why. Because back in 2004, there was a thought that came into my mind. And it was, are humans born evil or do they become evil?
Okay.
You know, when you look at evil characters in the world,
right?
Your Hitlers or your Saddams or whatever, the ones who just destroy and kill and everything, right?
Okay.
Were they born that way or did life make them that way?
It depends.
Well, that was a question that I was contemplating on, right?
Correct.
Because I was like, why is it like, for example, forget in adult life, but when we were kids, remember when you were like 5 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're innocent, you're a child.
Correct.
But there'd always be that 5-year-old who wants to kill things and bully people and beat people up. Even at that age.
Yes.
Right? So the question is, did he just have a bad upbringing in those 4 years? Or was there just something not right with him from the beginning? I mean, it was a deep thought, and I never really came to a conclusion on that.
That's interesting. It depends on how the parenthood plays a big part in life.
Yeah. Do you think those 4 years would have had that effect?
Well, it could be in any year, to be honest. Do you realize that the child, since he is born, knows what you're saying? Knows everything, but he doesn't know how to talk.
Yeah. So we're born with a natural instinct of what's right and what's wrong.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying, are some people just wired or unwired with those innate beliefs? Or is it literally the upbringing around him, the surrounding that he thinks is cool and normal?
It depends on what they hear and what they see. There is a fine line between knowing and unknowing. Not knowing things.
Yes.
A child should not know things on a certain age or a certain atmosphere or a certain time. There's a fine line between knowing and not knowing things that it's necessary to know or unnecessary to know. This is every time an optional thing. You never need a guitar.
Yeah.
Obviously, you never need a guitar. A guitar is never needed. It's always wanted. You want to play guitar, you want to learn guitar, you want to become a master guitar, you can learn. Well, optional. But need stuff. You need to learn how to speak.
Like, would you steal the guitar, beat up someone to get the guitar? This is where we come with, with those, which I said was,
yes.
Most people know the difference between stealing and not stealing.
Correct.
Beating someone up or bullying them or not bullying them.
Absolutely.
Even though you want it, you don't need it. But what makes someone go crazy to get it? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely correct. And this is the interesting part of it. I believe that everybody, whatever happens in life, however life took you, yes?
We have a guest.
Salman arrived. Please bring him over. Bring him over. So thank you for coming.
So now we have Salman.
Oh, you got the top G, Salman.
I'm not a top G.
You're not a top G?
He is
Not
a top G.
He is a top G. Right?
He is a top G.
I'm not the one with the shades here.
He's the top G. He's the top G.
Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you something about Salman. I've never met this guy without a suit. He's always dressed crisp.
I mean, dressed to impress, right?
Dressed to impress.
A man,
He's ready to go.
a man
every
has
day.
to be wearing his best on when he gets married or buried.
You see,
Well, he's always.
a wise man once said,
Yeah?
if you're always the best dressed man in the room, you're always the winner.
So you're the winner. Congrats.
Congratulations. Anyways, continue
Where's
the
my
subject. You're going to get a gift at the end of the session.
All right.
So we've been talking about the issue of knowing things and not knowing things, right?
I wanna. Okay, I remember where we were.
Yeah.
And I want to add to it to bring it to a more relevant conversation.
Sure.
Okay, because we were talking about whether needs versus wants.
Correct.
As a child, are you born evil or not?
Mhm.
We don't need like we need things, but we don't necessarily want things, right? So
Correct.
we all say we want the car, we want this, we want that, but we don't need them.
Correct.
So I think is a very important point here, because I was saying when we were children and we didn't have the internet,
Correct.
right? So the things we wanted was what we saw, let's say, the neighbors had. He has a bicycle, I want a bicycle.
Something
Very simple things,
Yes.
right? And we had a very simple life.
Correct.
I want the rollerblade. You know what I mean?
I want
Like,
them all.
yeah, like, but nothing weird, right? And then you were talking about genders and all of this stuff, right?
We never opened up anything of that.
No, but I was saying, like,
We never thought of it.
of course, because we were not exposed to it.
Correct.
Right? And I'm saying in today's world, because of the internet, I mean, I don't know, you guys have kids or not.
I do. I have two wonderful boys.
Okay.
I'm a single mom.
He's a single mom.
Yeah.
So for all
And
single,
I'm a single father.
all single dads who are looking for a single mom, Salman's here. But
I identify as a lesbian. I'm not into women.
No, he is a black lesbian.
So
You have to pay some respect for a black
Okay,
lesbian.
I'm sorry.
don't be a bigot. Come on.
Listen, color doesn't matter.
It's all about equality.
He's a
here.
lesbian, that's okay.
It's all about
All right.
equality. Say, let's keep it fair.
Yes, but to be honest, I think it's a very important point.
Right.
Because we're talking about TikTok earlier, and Salman obviously very active on TikTok. Gets banned all the time, but he's active. You know what I mean? You had your huge moments on TikTok,
Correct.
right? And I'm saying today, when, for example, I have teenage boys, they use TikTok, they see things, which is user-generated content.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Before, we used to watch TV and there'd be an ad for a toy and like, I really want that toy.
Right.
Right? But that ad was regulated by the authorities of what you can and can't show.
Correct.
Right? Today, it's all user-generated content.
Mm-hmm.
By the time platforms can actually say this is right or this is wrong in their point of view,
Correct.
already it's spread. And a lot of it is just people that you look up to sharing things at different ages, in different stages. So therefore, those wants that you're talking about have become crazy. Like, it's not like a bike anymore.
Indeed.
Now it's like all the topics you talk about is being influenced through the phones that we give them, through the platforms they feed off. And that is a detriment to society today.
True. Absolutely true. What really keeps me interesting towards the topic that you opened recently before Salman joins us in the podcast is that you said something, you mentioned Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
Right? He's a great leader, by the way. Not an evil man.
He was a great leader.
He was. Right. So everybody has a story, right?
Well, I mean that depends, right? Like, because see, in hindsight,
Uh-huh.
you're looking at what happened, like what Iraq is like today versus what it was like then.
Exactly.
And
It's
then
all
more,
about individual
and then more
behavior.
information comes out as to what he was
It's all
standing
about an
for.
individual behavior.
But the people who got tortured and killed by him would say he was an evil man.
It's an individual behavior, as much as the officer that we spoke about recently
Yeah.
regarding the issue of the capital, as same as Saddam Hussein, as same as everyone else. Everyone has an individual behavior.
No.
Does not represent the whole country. Does not represent anyone else by himself only.
Well, he was evil.
What I do in my life.
He was evil, but he was necessary evil.
No,
No,
what
no,
I'm
okay,
saying,
wait.
what I'm saying, guys, what I'm saying is, what I do does not reflect on who is my mom, who is my dad, who is my son, who is my sister, who is my brother. What I do, good or bad, might be good to you, might be bad to you, does not reflect only by myself and only me. Jocelyn did this, Jocelyn is the bad guy.
Sure.
Not the country, not his mom, not his son, not anyone else, right? So speaking of Saddam Hussein, Saddam Hussein, he calls himself a new rank, a new degree in the military-wise, called Muhib. We have from soldier, right, till the dean, till the general, till the colonel. We have degrees, right? So he calls himself Muhib. Muhib is the highest rank of a military rank base, but doesn't exist to anyone. No one else had this rank. Everyone's like end up to a general, right?
Sure.
So he's the only one who had Muhib.
Okay.
It's a new rank.
Fine.
A new rank. So speaking of our conversation today, so you claim to be an ex-marketing king, which is a rank, a title.
What a switch.
That is the thing. So everybody is claiming to be something.
Okay.
Or claiming to
Cool.
call themselves something.
Cool.
I am Muhib, he is a black lesbian, you are a cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am a DTS. I identify myself as a DTS.
You can be whatever
If you
want to be
identify as a
nowadays.
black lesbian, if you identify as a cat or a lord, I identify as a DTS.
Cool.
We're going to talk about DTS later on. Knowing what is with ex-marketing king. What's up?
So it's actually, by me saying I'm the ex-marketing king, proves that I'm the marketing king.
How so?
Let me explain.
Sure.
If I
Is
said
it like a gimmick?
no, look.
Like WWE kind of stuff?
Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
I'm
interested.
I mean, I can explain this very simply, right?
Right.
If I said I'm the marketing king,
Mhm.
now I have to compete against other marketers to keep the throne.
Okay.
By me saying I'm the ex-marketing king, no one can challenge me because I'm already retired. So you could say you're the marketing king today. I'm like, yeah, you are, because I'm the ex-marketing king.
Okay.
You see, it actually makes it more intriguing from a marketing perspective.
Okay.
Only a marketing king would call himself the ex-marketing king.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. But how so do you call yourself something without having a proof of it? Like,
Well, I mean, depends on what the proof is. So is the proof the hundreds of companies I've helped market their business?
okay.
That could be a proof, right? And obviously I can provide that proof. But what I'm saying is, the marketing genius was to say you're the ex-marketing king. So I'm not the marketing king anymore. You could be the marketing king. You could be the marketing king. I'm not competing. I'm retired.
How could you be an ex-marketing king?
Yeah, it's like an imaginary throne, like you said.
Exactly. So how could you be an
Do
ex-marketing
you know, if you say something so many times, people believe it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, but you're not going to say something completely left-wing that doesn't make sense. And you're like, oh, I'm the ex-Mr. Olympia. Obviously I'm not, right?
Okay.
That doesn't make no sense. You know what I mean? If I said that, that sounds ridiculous, right?
I mean,
But
if you identify as Sami Haddad, maybe, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, look, you know, Sami Haddad could say he's the ex-best bodybuilder in Bahrain or whatever.
Because he used to be.
Yeah, of course.
He is truly used to be.
Of course. And I love the guy.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, like, I worked in marketing for 18 years.
18 years.
Yeah. I've been doing this, like, since I came to Bahrain, since I was in Australia. So I said,
what
I'm
was
the
the
ex-marketing
greatest obstacle that you've been through the 18 years being an ex-marketing king?
obstacles.
What was the obstacle, the greatest obstacles that you faced in your career?
Obstacles?
Yep.
What would
The
you mean by
nightmares,
obstacle?
the storm that you've been through to become an ex-marketing king. I believe that you've been through a lot of storms to appreciate the new clear sky.
Sure.
You've learned a lot in your career with goods and bads.
Let me tell you something interesting.
Right.
Okay, let me not even go back to the past of all the, I give you client projects and stories and experiences.
Right. Yeah.
No, like
I understand.
No, like, I mean, I could tell you about companies where even my own companies, right? So when I had a restaurant,
You had a restaurant.
do you know how hard it is to have? You had a restaurant.
I absolutely agree with you. We
you know
actually
how-
yesterday we had this
Yes.
conversation of running the worst
Do you know how difficult it is to launch a restaurant and be profitable?
and operating an F&B
Yes.
establishment is ridiculous. I
Okay.
told him that yesterday. Yes,
And I
sure.
know you had one. That's how
Sure.
we first met, right?
Absolutely. Am I right? Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I had a restaurant,
Right.
right? But I was also a marketer. I had my marketing agency
Mhm.
since 2009, I think, right?
Right.
In Bahrain. So anyway, when I launched my restaurant, and you know how cutthroat the restaurant market is, I branded it the right way, told the right stories. There was no Instagram, there was no Snapchat, there was no TikTok.
Only Wasit.
There was just Facebook. No, there was
Wasit.
Facebook. There was Facebook. There was Wasit.
Wasit was dominating.
But there was Facebook as well, right?
Yes, yes.
But
It was BS.
and there was Twitter.
BS
By the way-
before Snapchat.
BS?
Before Snapchat.
What is BS?
Before Snapchat. Just like, PC for Christ.
Oh, okay. It's what BS.
Before
Yes.
Snap. Before Snap.
Before Snapchat. Before Snapchat. Got it.
Okay. But anyway, so when I launched this restaurant, and I'd never had a restaurant before,
Right.
but I've done marketing for a lot of restaurants before this. So I don't know how the kitchen operates, but I know how to launch a brand,
Got it.
right? The first day we opened, and there was Twitter. There was Facebook and Twitter. So I actually just sent a tweet, just one tweet. But it was the branding I did, the story I did, the upcoming bad boy kebabs in it. It's wicked in it, like something really refreshing for Bahrain. You know what I mean? And when we're talking about doner kebabs, for example, there was no doner kebab restaurants ever made in Bahrain.
Yes.
Bahrainis didn't even know what a doner kebab is.
Correct.
So when I'm charging like 2 BD for a doner, they're like, 2 BD for a shawarma? Like, you're crazy. Like, this was the feedback I'd get, right?
Mhm.
And like, even like fresh burgers, like now there's burgers everywhere. When we made burgers fresh, that was a new thing for Bahrain.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Anyway, the day we launched, I had 300 people waiting in line.
Impressive.
On day one, when the chef told me, don't worry, no one's gonna come, like the restaurant business, who's gonna
Takes
come?
time.
Because I'm like, bro, like, you gotta be prepared. You know what I mean? Like, all in my
Yeah.
mind, right? He said, bro, we'll be lucky if 5 people walk in.
Okay.
And I had 300 waiting in line, right? Now, that's one example. Now, I can give you another example, which actually will solidify me as the ex-marketing king of Bahrain.
Okay.
So I had an app called Flash Deals. I don't know if you guys knew the app.
You have an app?
I used to have an app called Flash Deals.
Flash Deals.
It was a deals and offers app.
All right.
I don't know if you remember it.
So
Okay.
you've created the app, or you founded the idea, and then
No, this is this is years ago, like maybe like 5 years ago. I founded the app, right? I launched the app because this is when I quit doing the marketing agency thing and became a startup.
okay.
Okay. So I had the app called Flash Sales, which is limited time deals and offers, which meant you have 2 hours to go get the deal or the deal is gone.
Okay.
Right? So if you want the discount, be there in 2 hours.
Got it.
Right? Everyone, entertainer, another one, it's open.
Yeah.
You can go whenever you want, right? But the whole idea, the reason behind that was because of my restaurant, because of entertainer actually. Because when they approached me and they're like, sign up to entertainer, blah, blah, blah. I said, dude, this thing's not working for me because buy one, get one free, all good, happy to do it. Can you just not put my weekends there? Because in the restaurant business, your weekend is where you earn your money.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't want to give discounts on a weekend. On a Tuesday, 3 o'clock, I'll give you 80% discount. I don't care. I just want bums on seats, right?
Yeah.
But don't touch my weekends, bro. They're like, no, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. So I removed us and I launched my own app. In the beginning, launching an app is difficult. No users. Like when I say no users, like 100 users, 50 users, whatever, like very small. And my partners, who are also my investors, getting frustrated, saying, come on, like we've spent so much money on this, spent so much time on this.
So the investors are silent partners by investing money, and you're investing effort.
But they're equal partners, but they're just money, and I was
you're the managing
I'm the sweat, yeah?
Gotcha.
So anyway, banging my head on the wall, we're screwed.
Obviously.
We're screwed, what do I do? And then I was like, come on, I'm the marketing king. Let's make this happen.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I was like, what resources do I have? Okay, sometimes you got to put down what you have versus what you don't have and figure out where to focus your strength. And I was like, well, having a marketing agency for the last 12, 13 years, I made a lot of contacts in the retail space that I used to do the marketing for them.
Right.
So they became friends. So I call up one guy, Crust and Crema, you know Crust and Crema, the coffee shop. Yeah.
What?
Crust and Crema, the coffee shop.
Crusty Crust.
Maybe you know Planet
SpongeBob.
Donut or whatever it is.
Oh, I know.
Crusty Cream.
Korean.
Krispy Kreme or
No, it's Crust and Crema. But you know the Korean bakery?
The one in
Korean bakery, yes.
Right, that's his father's, right? But he has a coffee shop called Crust and Crema.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
I called him up and I was like, bro, can you give me a deal on coffee for 100 fills?
Oh.
And he's like saying, are you mad? 100
When
fills?
was that?
This is like 2000, I would like to say 16, 17, I'm not sure. Somewhere around there, right? And he's like saying 100 fills, are you mad? Like, I'm going to lose money. I was like, bro, just give me 100 coffees. Just 100. All right? And he's like, and I was like, I'll pay you the difference on the cost.
Okay.
Not the price.
All right.
Right? I said, but he said, I said, it's a marketing, bro. Don't worry about it. People are going to talk about your coffee shop forever. You know what I mean? I had no users, right? He gave me the deal. I paid some micro influencer like 50 BD in those days. I was like, you just tell your followers that there's 100 first coffee, right?
Yeah.
Took us 2 days, but we finished the 100 first coffee, right?
Okay.
Now, I got 4,000 users from that, right?
Impressive.
Then I went back to another friend and I was like, hey, you know Urban Pizza? Urban Slice? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, bro, can you give me a slice of pizza, but for 100 fills? Saying 100 fills was, I'll pay you the difference.
Okay.
By the way, no one
It's fair for them.
ever took the difference. They loved the result so much. He sold out his pizzas in like 1 hour, right? Next one, Shawarma Express, again, 100 fills. Boom, 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 boom. I grew this app into 60,000 users in 3 months.
Impressive.
And I had a button in the app that said, get a ride to the deal with Uber.
Oh.
Right? But Uber doesn't pay me anything.
Right.
So I put them there on purpose. And they're like, why'd you put Uber? I was like, because Uber doesn't pay anything. Because what do I want? I want Kareem to come and say, change it.
Okay.
It was just a chess piece.
Gotcha.
Right? Chess move.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
I had no idea whether Kareem would call or not, but I just put it there because I said, Kareem would pay. Uber will never pay because they're American. You know, Kareem was still a UAE-based company.
Correct.
And I was in Dubai and Bahrain at the same time. And anyway, one day comes, Kareem calls me, like, can you come to our head office? So I'm going to head office. Now, the night before, I'm like, it's a big company, what should I do? I put a suit on the bed, and I put t-shirt and shorts on the side next to it. Do I wear the suit, or do I wear the t-shirt and shorts and sandals?
Mm-hmm.
I spend the whole night thinking about it. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear the t-shirt, short, and sandals. Because I'm going to go like I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Right? Where I'm a tech guy. You know, tech guys, with a t-shirt and shorts and sandals. You know what I mean? The suit's like a banker.
Yeah.
In that environment. You know what I mean? Nothing against your suit.
Right.
So I go.
Well, I'm not dressing formally.
No, I'm saying there's a place and time and the message that I'm trying to put across, even from a marketing thought, right?
Right.
Get to the building. They own the whole building. I was like, thank God I'm wearing t-shirt and shorts because everyone in the company is in hoodies and shorts, like they're Kareem, they're startup, you know what I mean? But they had like 1,000 employees, right?
Yeah.
And it's a huge company.
Right.
And I sit in their office, they're like, saying, we'd like you to change the Uber button to a Kareem button. I was like, why should I? Like, Uber is really cool. Like, everyone knows Uber. No one knows Kareem. Obviously just downplaying it, right? They're like, no, we've just launched in Bahrain 2 months ago. I said, we'd like your help. Can you just change the button? I was like, well, are you going to pay me for it?
Yeah.
They're like, no, we can't pay. I was like, well, then what's the point? You know what I mean? Because Uber, black looks nice. The button.
Yeah.
Change it to a green button.
Yeah.
It's not going to look nice. Like, what's in it for me? I said, in Bahrain, no one takes taxis. Okay? Even if they did, they know Uber, but no one knows Kareem
Right.
in Bahrain. In Dubai, you're big. I agree.
Right.
I said, but Bahrain is my island.
Right.
It's my app. You know, like we have traction. You have no traction.
Right.
So I said, all right, let's do a deal. There's an influencer, a big influencer. He charges like $5,000 or whatever. You pay for him. I'll do the ad, which is going to cross-promote Flash and Kareem. And let's do that. And they're like, cool. So I was like, great. So we did that. So then we did the video. And then I thought, wait, since they're paying for anyway, because I'm not going to pay $5,000. By the way, my $60,000, my 60,000 users, you know how much I spent on marketing? In total, like 500 emails. Okay?
That's it.
I leverage other people's stuff. Like a startup, I never use my own money.
For that amount to build that much of users, it's nothing.
I never ran ads. I did this all organic, right? By leveraging things.
Okay.
So like now with this thing, I was like, okay, this guy's got a lot of followers. So I was like, then I went to a burger place here, a famous one, Love a Burger. Right? I said, hey, I'm doing this ad with this cool guy, this famous guy. Can you do me a favor? How about you do 1 hour of burgers for 500 films or 100 films, whatever it was, right? He's like, staying 100 films. I said, yeah, but just for 1 hour. How many people can turn up in an hour?
Yeah.
Right? I know a lot of people would turn up, but I didn't tell him that, right? And he's like, okay. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then in the ad, it said, taking Kareem, there's a flash deal. By the way, the one other thing I asked Kareem, I said, I need 100 taxi rides for 100 films, wherever they go. 100 films was my thing, right? This is how I got to people's minds. So if today you see 100 films ads, it's because they're copying what I did.
All right.
And actually, when you see this big delivery app saying 100 films with delivery, he was one of our advisors. So he just took this from my playbook, right? So I was like, okay. And then basically, 100 films taxi ride, 100 films burger at Lava Burger, all in this one ad if you download Flash.
Okay.
Bro, I got like 15,000 users in like 5 days, right? And Kareem called me and they said they're up 500% on their users after that ad. Now, if that is not enough to say I'm the ex-marketing king, where I would flood places, the shops would have to shut down. Whenever I send a push notification, there's a deal here, that place gets flooded, it gets shut down. They have no more food left.
That's impressive.
So is that okay to call myself the ex-marketing king? I don't know. Like, it came out without nothing.
Got it, but it depends on what happens in the end. Like, do you still have this Flashpoint application?
No.
How did it end up?
No, I mean, like, with the app.
So that is the beginning. Is great. You've done a great job.
No, it was solid the whole time. It was just that we had difference of opinions from the partners in terms of how to monetize the app.
Okay.
Right? I said, in my mind, there was always an entrance, like launching,
right,
and an exit.
Right.
Like, I know where my entry is and I know where my exit is.
Okay.
Right? In the middle, it needs cash.
Right.
Now, easy for me to say not putting in the cash and they're putting in the cash. Right?
Yes.
So who has the most patience, right? And they wanted to go the entertainer model of charging a subscription. And I said, no. I said, there's two ways to make money. Either you can do the subscription model, sure, right? But I had a better idea, which was pay to unlock a deal. So you don't pay for the app, but if you want to go to this place, there's a deal. You can pay, for example, 500 films, and you unlock the deal, you get a 3 dinar discount.
Right.
Right? Which kind of works for us, right? And it's still a free app, technically. Freemium instead of subscription. Anyway, no, they want to do it their way. So I was like, cool. I left. And I was a partner. Like, I said, do it your way. It's fine. And then, sorry to say.
Right.
But whilst I was there, and then COVID came.
Okay.
And I was out of the game for like a year. And during COVID, I got back to, because it's still my baby, this is like Flash was my baby, like this was an idea I made, and I was like, I still love it. And during COVID, because our deals was to go to a place, right? So I'm like, guys, what's the plan? And they're like, well, there is no plan. Like everything's shut down. Like, how can we do deals when it's shut down?
I mean, Talabat was
Since when you started in this career? Like,
What?
since when you started to become who you are today? Like, you were back in the young age. You were like, how did you start? Like, you had a full-time job, or tell me the beginning of the
So
story.
basically, the thing is, I always wanted to be in. So I've always been passionate about IT,
Okay.
but my dad didn't. Okay, sad to say, like these days, like these days everyone can do what they want, but
Right.
like back in the day, you know how it was.
Yeah.
He's a banker. He's like, no, you go study business and become a banker, which I didn't want to, but but that's what he's paying for it. So like, what are you gonna do doing IT? Change hard drives for 1 dinar? This is what the mentality.
Okay.
This is before the internet boom and all of this stuff. I'm 40
Yes.
years old. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it was always a passion, and I always did it as a hobby, right? But I always enjoyed doing business, entrepreneurship, but really I was really passionate about IT and all of this stuff. So in Australia, I was in banking. I did study business management. I did go into banking. And then, what's it called? I had an idea, which was basically, I used to like going to the beach,
Okay.
right? But the problem going to the beach in Australia, in a Western country, you don't really trust everyone around you, meaning you put your beach bag on the sand, is someone going to steal my money, my wallet, my keys? You know what I mean? Like, where are you going to keep this stuff, right?
Right.
You're on.
Right? So I was like, let me make a waterproof case that I can put my keys, my wallet,
All your belongings.
whatever, and go swim with it.
Okay.
And come back. My main things, the essentials, to swim with it and come back. Obviously you guys would have seen the PVC cases that Lost Paradise and stuff have.
Yeah.
The Ziploc thing. So this was before all of that. So I had this idea, I designed it, I created in China, I started selling it in Australia online.
Okay.
And I hired a website company to build the website because I was like, I want the best, I want the Rolls Royce. The mistake every startup makes, right? This is when I was young.
Okay.
But there was no word called startup in those days. So I paid them like $10,000 to build this website. And then every time I want to make a change, they're like, sorry, you can't make the change.
Oh.
You got to pay us to do it.
Oh, they were milking.
They kept me as a slave, right?
Yes.
And I want to be free, I want to do my SEO, I want to do this, I want to do minor change. I couldn't change anything except the content. So I was like, you know what? I deleted the $10,000 website and I rebuilt it myself.
Okay.
It's doing well.
That's a big jump.
Big jump. So that's why I got into coding. So I got into it out of necessity.
Oh.
Right? Because it was my business, right? And anyway, I noticed in those days, you put like $100 in Google Ads, get $300-400 in sales. So I was like, oh, this is like an ATM machine, just $100 ads, 300 sales, $100 ads, $300 sales. Like clockwork. But then we decided to come to Bahrain because my son was born.
Okay.
This is why we came to Bahrain. When my first son was born.
You mentioned that your father is a banker, which is Bahrain, obviously.
And my father's a banker internationally, but
Bahraini citizen.
Yeah.
Right.
But he was a Forex trader, right? Not the scams of Forex these days. He's the one who invented all of this Forex stuff back in the day.
You were born in Bahrain?
I was born here in Salmania.
So you're a Bahraini citizen?
Technically.
Right.
Without the passport.
And then how it goes between Bahrain and Australia, please, I need clarification.
So my dad, we're Persians, right? We're Ajam, as you call it.
No, you're Bahraini, bro.
Yeah, but you call us Ajams. So back in the days before King Hamad, a lot of Ajams didn't have passports.
Okay.
Right? So they used to get, like my dad would have to get a travel passport to just fly and come back whenever traveling.
So your dad has a wathiqa?
My mom did, my dad didn't.
Okay.
Right? So then he's like, well, for our future,
right?
Because you can't go to university without a passport here and all this stuff. And he was an international banker already, top G. Right.
Been around everywhere. Yeah.
Right.
Knows it all.
So he's made millions for the bank. So he's like, you know what? Go to Australia.
Okay.
To get a nationality.
All right.
Then we became Australian.
That was in a very young age.
Very young age. Like I was like 2 years old.
2 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's why I went to Australia. So it was because he didn't have a passport, which meant we like my name would be in my mom's passport sort of thing. And they'd write it down. So like, okay, let's go get nationality. Went to Australia. Most people get it in 4 years. We got it in 6 months.
Oh,
He just wrote a letter to the Prime Minister. He was very good at writing.
right.
And Prime Minister's like, here you
Done.
go, done. So that's what became Australian.
And how's your experience in Australia?
Amazing.
Have you resided there?
Best place in the world.
How long?
So I lived my younger years there, like from 2 to 10, let's say,
Okay.
or 8,
Okay.
right? It was my really childhood days.
Mm.
Then there's a lot of time in London after that, because, you know, his work would take him around.
Right.
So I grew up in London as well. And then after I got married, sick of London, depressing, grey weather, whatever, want something different. I'm Australian. So took my wife, went to Australia. And I stayed there for like 4 or 5 years. Then my son was born in Australia. And I was like, but he was a young child, but you know, in Australia, husband works, wife works. Like,
Right.
that's how it is. There's no nannies or anything like that. You know, you do everything yourself.
Oh, khaddam.
There's no khaddam or anything,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, okay. And it's our first child, so, you know, you don't have the experience
Correct.
and stuff.
Right.
So I was like, cool, we'll come to Bahrain for 2 years.
Okay.
First time I come back to live in Bahrain,
When was that?
2009.
All right.
So the plan was to come here for 2 years and go back. Because I love it over there.
Okay.
But then when I was here, I started up my business, H2M, which is a marketing company. And I started that up it wasn't out of choice, it was out of no options.
Okay.
Meaning, it was during the financial crisis. Remember the banking crisis, 2009?
Started from 2006.
So I thought I would go into banking,
Oh.
but as in just make quick cash, come back.
Okay.
But banks were not hiring. They offered me some crappy jobs. Shout out to Standard Chartered, right? Who offered me the worst job in the world,
Okay.
right? So like, I mean, let's make this clear, okay?
Yeah.
You want controversy? Let's give you some
Go
controversy.
for it, man.
Let's break this down a
Go
little
for
bit.
it, bro.
In Australia, before my online business,
Right.
I used to work in banking. Then I used to work for an online bank. And I was a team manager in an purely online bank called Ubank. So being in the call center, that was natural for me because our bank did not have a branch. So everything is on the phone,
Okay.
right? Now, when I got to Standard Chartered Bank, when I got the interview, they're like, oh, we only have call center positions, right? I was like, fine, whatever. And at that time, I did have a job in my dad's friend's company,
Right.
paying me $700. Okay? I started out as they're like, we just need a guy to do PowerPoints, and then ended up just doing everything, right? From going to flying to Qatar, picking up clients, pitching, all that, but not because I want to.
Okay.
I would be bored.
We wanted to grow. We wanted to
I can't just sit there and do PowerPoints, right? I can do the PowerPoints, I can do the sales, I can do everything, I can do the marketing. You know what I mean? It's just how I am. I can go meet clients, whatever. I wanted to, right? So anyway, but at the same time, I'm looking for the next step because this was a temporary job. So Standard Chartered is like, we have a call center position. We have 2 positions. We have call center manager and a call center operator.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, so clearly, call center manager, right?
Okay.
I have this experience doing this in Australia, the biggest bank in Australia. So
Okay.
they're like, nah, you know, we'll put you as a operator. I was like, no, okay. I mean, what does it pay? They're like 500 dinars. I'm like, I already make 700. Why would I do that? They're like, but we're Standard Chartered Bank. I said, well, I just don't give a fuck.
Right. Yeah.
Got up and walked out, right? Never looked back again.
That's it.
That was it. And then I was like, you know what? Forget this stuff. I'm not going to look for a job anymore. Right? I'd read
This
this.
is where it started.
This is where it started.
Actually, Hussein, this is like what every Bahraini deal with.
What?
Like, you know, being hired in a position which is like, you know,
Below you?
below you, and you don't even have anything to do with it.
By the way, it's okay to be hired in a position below you, but I'm already getting paid more in the current job.
So you didn't have a job. Or you had
No, I had a 700 job. They're offering me a 500 job. I was like, mathematically, this doesn't even make sense to me.
Correct. Correct.
The reason I'm getting a job is to provide for my family, right? So I need to get paid more. in order to pay for the car loan and the rent and whatever, why would I take a lower job of a job that a 16-year-old can do, to be honest, right?
12, yeah.
And I'm not being obnoxious or anything, but I speak English perfectly, right? So in a call center, I'd be fantastic, but I've managed call centers. So I'm like, I have the experience as well, and I just found it as an insult. And no disrespect, ethically, I don't know how to word this nicely,
Take your time.
right? But in Bahrain, I don't know about these days, but in those days, in banks, there's a mafia.
Okay.
So there's either the Lebanese mafia, or there's the Persian mafia, or there's the Indian mafia, or whatever it is.
Bro, there are gangs. There's gangs.
There's gangs, right? So depending, so depending on who's in charge, he hires his own sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And in those days, Standard Chartered had the Indian mafia.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
and you look around, you can tell,
Yes.
right? It's obvious. So I was like, okay, not for me. I hate banking anyway. It's the most boring job in the world. So I left. And I was like,
not all companies, okay, do not sue us, okay?
Right. Not all
Not
companies,
all companies.
especially not Wiser. Thank you so much.
no, I'm not saying every company. I was talking about in those days,
Right.
in
Most of
banking usually.
Yeah.
And I've heard this about other organizations too, right? But I think today we're in a much more diversified place than we were back in those days, right?
Correct.
So anyway, I was like, well, my passion is marketing.
Okay.
So I was applying to every agency to hire me for marketing. But the problem is, they'd be like, Hussain, you don't have any experience working in a marketing company.
Right.
Because the only marketing I used to do was for my own businesses.
Right.
Right? So I was like, okay, no problem. So I got sick of this, right? And I was like, come on, you're Australian. I thought coming as an Australian, you're top G, but now you're bottom G sort of thing. You know what I mean? When it comes to the job market.
Right.
Right? So I was like, all right, I'm not going to apply for any more jobs. What I'm going to do, I started a blog. Husaini.com. I called it a job hunt social experiment.
Oh.
Right? So then I would write blog articles like, should you wear a tie, or should you wear a shirt, should you send an email, should you make a phone call, and all that stuff, like doing the job stuff. And then I would design fake ads for like Viva and Telco and whatever as my portfolio online. No one had a website those days.
Okay.
I just prefer entertainment. I'll just do this every day. I read this book called Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
Right.
Think and Grow Rich. Yeah.
Amazing book. And it's about, but what he used to talk about was like, you need to have specific targets. And if you're applying for a job, then you should make a really nice resume in a leather binder, specific to that company for that specific role. Right? And hand it and it'll give you an edge. But I said, but we're in the 2000s. This book was written in 1940 or something, right? I said in the 2000s, it's a website. The website is the leather binder. Right? So I made it that way. And my cousins are like, bro, get out of here. This is not Australia. This is Bahrain. No one's going to care. You know what I mean? I said, I don't care. I'm not asking you for anything. So I would just do this every day, just make posts, right? And then, lo and behold, one day I get an email from a marketing agency here called O2.
O2?
This is back in those days.
Right.
Big company in those days.
Sounds like a restaurant.
O2,
Sounds like a train.
oxygen.
O2 power energy drink.
I mean, in London you have a telecom called O2, but like O2 like oxygen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
O2 marketing. Anyway, they sent me an email saying, we want to give you a job as the marketing director.
All right.
Right?
A
And
great opportunity.
great opportunity.
Okay.
And so we'll pay you 1,800 dinars a month,
Okay.
plus accommodation, plus children's school allowance.
Nice.
Like from that 700, that's a big jump. Plus it's the exact job I want.
Interesting.
So I was like, it must be my cousin messing with me.
Yeah.
But this can't be true. Like this is I didn't even believe it. You know what I mean?
You were like, how old were you like that?
And I was like 25 or something.
Okay, carry on, please.
So then I got the number, call up the guy. oh, it's a guy with an English guy with a British accent. That can't be my cousin. It's a very Bahraini accent, you know? So anyway, so then
What's
he's...
wrong with Bahraini accent?
Huh?
That's the thing, yeah. What do you think? There's anything wrong with it?
No. I can tell the difference between a British and a Bahraini. And he's Bahraini, by the way. He's from the Indian school, so he has a bit of an Indian accent.
Oh,
Right?
Yeah, what's wrong with the
So
Indian
he's-
accent?
So he's like, I don't know what to do.
And there's nothing wrong.
What is this? What is this?
Is that it?
No. There's nothing wrong with it. Right? I'm just saying, I know it's not him.
Okay.
I know this is a legit call.
Gotcha.
Right? I'm not discriminating. So I just wonder, is someone pranking me, or is this a legit call?
So he sounded like a mixture between 9/11 and 7/11.
This guy. Anyway, this guy's a British, and I was like, don't you need to interview? I was leaving to London the next day to visit my dad. Right? And I was like, don't you need to interview me first? He's like, no, there's no need. Like, we've seen your work online. We're mesmerized by your work. The job is yours. Just come. Right? And I was like, great. I was like, okay, let me think about it.
All right.
Because I was leaving to London the next day. So I went to London. I sat there a week with my dad. And I was thinking about it. And I came back and I said, sorry, I'm not taking the job.
Why not?
Because in the job I currently had, we were working with another company. And I met this really cool Aussie guy called Matthew.
Oh, okay.
Right, called Matthew, and basically we'd sit and talk all the time, became really good friends, and he was like, and we're both like, you know what Bahrain needs? An online food ordering website. There's no Talabat.
Yeah.
Just pre-Talabat, right?
BT.
Yeah, BT, this BT before Talabat. So he's like saying, if you're down for it, I'll fund it. You build it and let's do it.
Okay. This is why you've rejected the offer.
That's why I rejected it, because I said I can either take the marketing job, and I know myself after 8 months I'm going to be like, I quit anyway because I want to do my own thing,
Right.
or I go straight into the deep end, right? No pay increase, same salary, but I'm doing what I want to do,
Right.
right? And so that's why we started the company called H2M, which is, everyone calls me H2 because I'm Hussain squared.
Oh.
Right? And M is Matthew.
So your first name is Hussain and your family name is Husaini.
Yeah.
Got it.
So everyone calls me H2, like Hussain squared.
All right.
Right? So H2M, M is Matthew, Australia.
Yeah.
So that's, we started this company. It was not supposed to be a marketing company. It was supposed to be a Talabat.
All right.
And I'm building this thing. And then halfway through, like 3 months later, he's like, saying, I'm going back to Australia.
Oh.
And he's the money man here, right? And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And by the way,
You've already rejected the offer.
already rejected, have an office, have a CR, have an office,
All right.
have rent to pay, have bills to pay, have all this thing to pay.
You already went through, yeah.
And he's like, I'm going back. And I'm like, by the way, this is really interesting. So anyway, here's an interesting story, which forget my story,
Right.
but I want to add this and you guys can add to it, right? So Matthew was an atheist, religiously speaking, right?
Okay.
He told me when we started the business, he said, Hussain, you remember WLs? I said it was 20 grand back in the day. So I'll put the 20 grand, take it out. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
in and
after a
out,
week,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever, right? But he's like saying, I'll do this business on one condition. So what's the condition? He said, 20% of anything we make, you have to give it to a charity of your choice.
Oh. He's an atheist.
He's an atheist.
All right.
But what is he saying? He's saying khums. 20% is khums. Right? He's like, I don't care if you give it to a Shia thing or AIDS or blind or whatever you want to give it to. The khums is a Shia thing. So he's giving me a Shia laws without even knowing, by being an atheist. And I was like, because he is a pure humanitarian. This is what I wanted to get to. Just because you're atheist doesn't make you a bad person. So now I met this atheist telling me to pay khums, whereas a Shia will tell me, hey, just lend your money to him, bring it back, you can do tax evasion, like by God and all of that stuff, right? So I was like, man, you're more Muslim than any Muslim I've met. And he was getting paid in his new job 5,000 dinars a month in a bank called investment bank. He was as a lawyer.
All right.
And you know why he quit and left? Because they wanted him to find excuses to fire Bahrainis legally. So when you fire them, you say, oh, we didn't fire him. That white guy fired him. Right? And he's like, bro, that's unhumane. So he turned down. He used to earn 1,000 when we first met. He got this new job at $5,000, which in Australia is a lot of dollars, by the way, $20,000.
Yeah.
He quit because he refused to be unethical. And that's why he left.
Well, that's quite interesting. And unfortunate knowing that there are people willing to do such miserable things.
Atheist people do amazing things for humans. We think about just the afterlife. They try to do the good and bad here. You know, like they try to get their rewards here in this life because they don't believe in an afterlife. We just selfishly do things for ourselves for the afterlife. That is an interesting thought that I want to open up to you.
Well,
That
is actually
that's
not
all of them. I mean, being godless is like you know what I mean.
Speaking of having a godless or believing in God, it's an interesting topic. We're going to talk about this topic a little bit later. Okay. So speaking, the original.
But he amazed me anyway.
I understand. Yeah, it's very interesting.
But he left, and I said to him, when he left, I said, bro, we're like 70% done with the website.
All right.
I can't continue. I've got to pay office rent, 300 or whatever it was. Then I've got electricity. Then I've got family. Then I got mom. And then I got car, whatever.
Right.
I was like, okay, bro, I understand your situation, but can you do me a favor? Just leave 1,000 BD in the account. And that's it.
Okay.
And then I'll have to figure out how to continue, right? And he did, by the way. And he left 1,000. Now I'm like sitting in this office. I've got more than 1,000 in bills at the end of the 20 days. 20 days left. And I was like, what do I do? So the only thing I could think about, so I started doing this BlackBerry days, you know what I mean? So I made a new website about H2, the agency, not whatever. And I picked up, I don't know how, I picked up clients that month, although I had no friends, like very little friends here, because I was new to the country. I started meeting people and going to networking places and stuff. And then this is how the H2M started, because I was like, met a guy, he's like, I need a website, cool, how much you charge? I'm like, 300 BD. And he's like, yeah, cool, boom, done 300 BD. Next guy comes along, sees the other website, he's like, I need a website. So how much you charge? I'm like, 700 BD.
Okay.
He's like, oh, 700, cool, boom, done. Right? Someone from Oman comes, you know what I mean? How much for the shopping, whatever? And I was like, 1,400. She's like, cool, boom, done. And then that's how the marketing business started from that point.
So, okay, that is very, very interesting. You know why? Because knowing that you've been around countries, that gives you great privilege of knowing how the system operates in the West and in the East.
Yeah.
It's completely different. It's completely, entirely different. It's like another planet. We're not living in the same planet. The regulations there, how you run your business, how you communicate with people, the society there is completely different than here.
Sure.
Now, knowing that, I have a question. You have a dual citizenship, like a Bahraini Australian?
No, I'm just Australian.
So you're purely Australian.
Aussie, oi, oi, oi.
Okay. So your current residence is on your parents?
Investor.
All right. Oh, on your own company, you have investor visa.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Have you applied?
Well, to be honest, if anyone's listening, I'm more than open to getting a Bahraini citizenship.
Okay.
It was just that years ago, when I looked into it, they're like, you can get it if you give up your Australian citizenship. And this is years ago, because I believe dual citizenship came up later.
Yeah.
Right? And then back in the day, there was a loophole. Like, let's talk, everyone knows a loophole, which is, here's my passport. And then you call the embassy, I lost my passport. They give one back. Yeah. But then they got smarter and they said, you need a citizenship withdrawal certificate from the government.
Correct.
And then when I looked into that, and the Australian embassy said, if you do that, you need to go back to Australia, live for 2 years and reapply. and then maybe we give it to you, maybe we won't.
Oh.
So it was too much of a risk, right? Because, I mean, people die to get an Australian passport. At the same time, Bahrain is also amazing as well, right? So I'm like, I don't want to choose between one or the other, and since I have one, right, it's like, there must be a nicer way. I mean, I do identify as a Bahraini, to be honest.
Right.
I identify as a Bahraini more than Australian, of course. I am a Bahraini. I am a Bahraini. I identify as a Bahraini. All my content is about promoting Bahrain and helping Bahrain.
So there is a lot of people who identify as Bahrainis with Bahraini passports, and they're not originally from Bahrain.
Yeah,
you are.
I am. Every single relative of mine is a Bahraini. By the way, aunts, uncles, both sides.
Have you considered applying for?
I'd love to. I don't know what the process is.
Not.
I honestly don't know what the process is.
Would you like to get assistance?
But you're wiser, which is what
Wiser
you do.
can assist you with that.
Sure, absolutely. I would love that.
We'll take notes on that.
100%. 100%.
So, do you know the privilege of having a Bahraini passport?
There's so many. Like
for CR-wise,
CR,
housing-wise, educational-wise,
GCC-wise,
everything.
Yeah, so
it's a great privilege.
It's a great privilege. I mean, and I'm not the type of guy who's looking for like benefits, if that makes sense.
Right.
Right. I don't need SCAN or whatever.
But you are a Bahraini.
No. I'm saying I would love to. I'm saying I'm a Bahraini, and I'd love to be a Bahraini.
This is.
But I'm saying I'm not the type of guy who's gonna like also like take. I give.
You're not taking.
I give. I'm saying I give.
This is a right for you. The government owes rights for us as Bahraini citizens, and you're one of us as a Bahraini citizen.
Of course.
So it's not about giving or taking. It's not an option.
No, I know.
This is yours.
And actually, this brings us to an interesting point, right? So I hope the whole thing explains why I call myself ex-marketing king, which I'm not anymore. All right. Imagine that. All that story is how this question arose from, right? But anyway, no, I mean, look.
All right. So speaking of the worst obstacle that you faced throughout the years that you explored and yet you become who you are.
Sure.
Now there must be the greatest achievements. You've already mentioned one of having the Flashpoint detail application. You've been through a lot of struggles and yet there's a lot of achievement, right?
Sure.
So there's those who never dare to lose miserably could achieve greatly.
Okay.
You need to have some guts on doing some things. You know what I mean? Need some balls.
Sure.
To take a step of losing or rejecting a great opportunity, right? With the other company, what was it called that you had?
H2M Flash.
Yeah, the British guy who spoke to you, like there's a great opportunity, whatever.
Sure.
So you had a golden opportunity, right? And you've rejected it because you already had what you wanted.
Yes.
From a very long time.
Yes.
And then things got fucked up because this guy has his reasons to fly over, whatever.
But it didn't, because that actually saved me, because whilst we started at a struggle with 1,000 BT or whatever it was, I built this into a 20-man company in a year.
Okay.
And that's what made me thrive over the next 10 years. And when you say ex-marketing king, this is when I was doing marketing for businesses. And to be honest, like, okay, you guys are younger, right? So you're used to the whole videos online sort of thing, right? And so I was working with Zain on a promotion, the telecom.
Okay.
We're giving away a BlackBerry.
Oh.
Right? And I said, what we should do is we should let people send a video on why they think they deserve the BlackBerry for Facebook, right? Those are the Facebook days. And the sort of comments I used to get from not just the management, but from the public, you want women to make a video online? Haram! Like, you want our women to go online on video? And I was not saying do a provocative video. It's just literally, why do you want the BlackBerry?
That's
right.
Yeah.
But imagine I lived in those days. Yeah. So when doing a video with the hijab, with everything, was seen as haram because you want other men to see it. This is against our society.
Yeah, because our women are privileged, like we don't showcase our women.
Speaking of that,
But imagine this was only like 10 years ago or something, right? So how much have we transitioned in such a short space of time? So what I'm saying is like, this is a very important point because if you remember like the 1960s or whatever, right? Whenever Marilyn Monroe was around, right? And she would be in a swimming costume, like with a short. And they call her
take your time.
HOE, right? For doing that, right? And that's in the Western society, by the way.
Oh,
right? Not in our culture, right? Because if you look at old movies, women used to wear a scarf on their head.
yes.
And that was fashionable. It was like a hijab, right? But this was in Western movies. And so when you remove a line slowly, you cross a line, then the previous line doesn't exist anymore, right? You don't even think about it anymore because now that's the norm. Then you make another line, then you make another line, then you make another line, right? So in our society, if you notice, compared to hundreds of years, the last 20 years, we've seen the most rapid transformation ever in culture and society because of the internet, right? Because now we're globally connected.
Right.
So we're watching what other people do and we want to sort of mimic them or behave like them because that's cool or we look up to them or whatever, right? So I'm saying I witnessed Bahrain 10 years ago where it was haram for a woman to just even with a hijab to even make a video and put it online to where we are today. And I'm not talking just in Bahrain, but like globally, do whatever you want, say whatever you want online, right? And it's the norm and it's accepted. So my question is, where is the boundary and where are we going to head?